There he still is, looking right through you with his white eyes. The body below is entirely dedicated to that corpse smell. Emitting it is all it does now. As you breathe in, the odor comes over you. It's a smell of the mind telling you to run, and your stomach to wring itself empty. With your hands at your sides and your eyes squinting, you stand in it. Your muscles tense up. The vision in your dead angle darkens. You feel the sudden urge to push your hand into his soft gut. This delicate machine, ready for picking. Instinctively, you crack your fingers. The man before you is naked, but for a pair of underpants and enameled boots. His skin is greenish, marbled with decaying veins, and blotched by lividity. A fading web of tattoos covers his chest and shoulders. The cargo belt used to fasten him to the branch above appears industrial in strength. The material appears to be ceramic. Its clean white stands in stark contrast to the decaying flesh above the knee. The man wore thick polymer socks, probably for padding. A fine array of interlocking plates covers them. Delicate and fragile, they feel alien to the world around you, out of place somehow.
They're armor, no boots. Technically speaking, these are sabatons. Ceramic plate, zirconium dioxide most likely. This is where the make would be. Under the heel, fair weather model T500 VE. I'm guessing that's vitreous enamel. This is advanced stuff.
The stench fills your nostrils. As you push downward, an ominous creaking sound comes from above.
Stop! Pig's gonna pull his head off.
Brutal!
Even the mongrels can see you're about to pull his head off.
Do it, homo!
Stop obsessing about your sexuality, officer. You are about to seriously compromise the coroner's case. What are you trying to achieve anyway? Why are you hanging on to that boot? You do understand the boots are steeped in cadaverine odor, don't you? You have a point there, detective. You have a point. But there's no way you are getting them off. All the organic matter in his body has been flowing down into the boots for 7 days. They are fused to his feet now. Why do you think they are the only thing left on him?
You're sure there's a way to peel them off, but first the body needs to be down, and second, it would probably be better if the lieutenant wasn't around. The anticipation makes you crack your fingers. Feels nice. Nice and cracky.
Processing will take care of them. With the situation in the morgue, it will yield nothing. But we must pick our fights. Should we continue? It is. It's expensive. We've requested similar material for our tactical units for years now. The constabularies deemed it too costly. In that time, we've lost 6 men to semi-automatics. For a full set, about 4 years of wages. By catching, do you mean, let's not log them as evidence? Let's steal them? Of course.
The lieutenant nods often. It's part of his unplastic expression range, communicating both professionalism and sarcasm. This time, the latter.
Looks like he worked for a private contractor, like Evrard told us. Wealthy, with state ties. This is way above what we have.
A small bell-like sound fills the air. like tapping on the side of a porcelain cup. The pry bar in your hand is itching for some action.
It's anything but. This material is a kinetic redistributor. It spreads kinetic energy horizontally, from plate to plate, dissipating it entirely. See?
Faint, organic lines cover the plates where they separate into smaller ones. These plates then divide into smaller plates until there are hundreds of them altogether. The cadaver slowly twists on the cargo belt, his torso covered in tattoos and extremities blotched pink and blue. The hangman's knot is pulled tight by the weight of the corpse below. Yellow, hard-edged polyester cuts into his neck. Above, a sliding buckle ties the belt to the branch. Oh my, there's something on the belt, a familiar word that speaks to the thirst within you. Vermilion, in yellow letters, along the length of the twisting cargo belt. Only a deep longing for vermilion golden spirits lets you decipher the fading logo of the local brewery.
No, you should not get a drink. You should perform an initial inspection of the victim's corpse. We are on the raw part. Industrial strength, the kind used for tying cargo to lorries. Yes, it looks like they use whatever was on hand, paying no attention to not incriminating themselves. The brief suggested as much, politically motivated by the ongoing strike. Did you not get a briefing? Then you should ask me the first moment we get. It's not merely polyester, it's steel reinforced. See these lines? This is where the wires run. I see rabbits for more than 20 strands. This makes getting him down much more problematic than I had assumed. A noose is one of those things that's easier to use one way around. I think they lassoed the branch, then pulled on the belt, buckle closes. It's what I would do. Seems easier than climbing up there.
The cadaver hangs from the cargo belt, limbs limp and torso covered in tattoos. As you narrow your eyes, the monster before you blurs into a violent mess of green and pink. Only the lower extremities are pink with a dash of blue. His fatted hands, thighs, and his neck, just above the noose. The rest of the corpse appears dark green in the cold spring air.
How should I know why you are squinting, officer? Oh. You are trying to assess lividity.
The monster comes back into focus, an explosion of color, coursing with dark marbled veins. His stomach appears pregnant with something. Black liquid streams down his thigh and onto his boot.
So what do you think?
I think he's dead and about to explode.
I agree. Totally dead. Absolutely. I think he was upright immediately after death. Blood has gathered in his hands and feet, and his neck. The noose acted like a tourniquet, keeping the blood in his head. The hypostasis here is in tune with the hanging. That's what I think. There's always a chance. We should check for ligament marks on his neck to see if they're in tune with the belt. We'll have to get him down first.
A pool of blood and feces has eaten into the frozen mud below the man's feet. Purge liquid is dripping into it, drop by drop.
The victim appears to have contained no more than half a kilogram of digestion at the time of death.
The fuck he's saying?
Talking about shit.
Maybe. There's a strong buildup of gases, yes. Rigor mortis becoming livor mortis. He'll be fully limp by tomorrow. I don't think he'll explode. I hope not. I do. Most of them are post-mortem. Maybe even all of them. The delinquents have made our jobs harder with their little sport.
Stop talking in riddles, coin slot.
He means you fucked him up good, Kuno. Fucked him up brutal-like.
But there is no breath to catch. Only the cadaver filling the air and your nostrils. He slowly rotates before you, decomposing.
Are you sure we finished the preliminary examination of the cadaver? We might miss some of these things once he's done.
The cadaver slowly twists on his eyes are milky white and blind to the world, protruding comically from their sockets. There is no one home, just subaquatic terrors there. These eyes used to be blue, baby blue. Dark brown hair grows on his head. His face is ready to explode from the organic processes inside. The death's head grin has passed. What remains is an unrecognizable mess. The corpse is dead silent. You have no idea why you just said that.
Who is he? He is male, 40 to 50, with an athletic build. Good. The victim is of Occidental descent. Light brown hair, blue eyes. I mean white.
The corpse looks right through you as you distance yourself from its stench. Eyes like a shark.
The steel-reinforced belt presents a unique challenge. I brought chain cutters, but I don't see a good angle of approach to the belt. The cadaver is a good 1.2 meters up. Neither one of us can reach the belt without assistance. And even if we do, there's the question of cutting it.
There's no question. There's only cutting. How hard can it be? An acrobatic maneuver would solve this situation. Nothing can go wrong with a good maneuver.
I don't doubt your physical prowess, officer, but that's aircraft-strength material, and we do not have a secure platform to perform the procedure on. The risk of acrobatic failure is one we cannot take. We must not become comedy for the locals.
The fuck have you got against comedy, pigs?
Yeah! Bang bang time, pig! Shoot his head off!
How? It absolutely will not, officer. That's not how physics work. It will maybe cut one thread loose.
Yeah, now we're talking. Entertain a Kuno with some shit.
They'll miss! The pigs will miss Kuno!
What else can we do? I have thought of that, yes. But the tire tracks would compromise the scene. Any prints would become illegible. That's if we get it through the hole in the fence. Also, my MC has a sloped roof. It's a sports model. The roof is slippery. An all-around bad platform to stand on. How about I take you, piggyback?
The fuck are these pigs talking about?
Oh, they're bank or something! Oh, it's fucking boring, Kuno! Wish they'd fuck already!
Pig, why you gotta disrespect my girl? This shit makes Kuno sad.
Fuck that banana boyka in the ass, Kuno!
I wasn't actually implying I would. I meant it's a bad idea.
It's a fucking hilarious idea! You two puscapars get on top of each other and fuck.
In silence, the lieutenant gives you a meaningful glance, as if to say, case in point.
Climb up there and saw the branch?
It seems doable. The kid's ladder is treacherously rotten, but you could use your hands and feet to reach around the tree, then hang from the branch.
Honestly, I prefer a non-acrobatic solution to this. Clown cops climb tree, fall down. Enraged cop assaults children after falling from tree. Cretin cop, they like that word, saws the branch he's sitting on, literally. Local children report corpse mutilation.
Fuck yeah, climb that shit, monkeys.
See, you're only making them do those things less.
No, I do not see the future. I made those up using 2 decades in the Revacholian police force as a reference point. Oh no. We should be very afraid of newspapers, and the radio stations too. We should be wary of enticing them in any way. What I'm proposing is, we save acrobatic tricks as a last resort, after we've tried everything else.
Oh, these have got to be the most fucking boring mulcapats I've ever seen.
I was really hoping we wouldn't. The Union appeared to be suspect in this case. It seems like a dangerous route to go down.
Confirmed. It's unsafe. But what other options? The corpse twists on the belt, like chicken on a skewer. He breathes out heavily.
Oh yeah, do this shit! Fuck it up!
Silence. With his elbow sharp, the lieutenant unzips his jacket and produces a lightweight firearm. He drops a paper cartridge in the barrel, separates the scouring stick, and gives the cartridge 5 tucks, securing it in place. He then steps back and assumes the fellow's desk position, taking aim. The corner of his eye twitches. His finger is on the trigger.
He's gonna fucking miss!
The kid's voice is drowned in a shrill blast that echoes off the walls of the surrounding tenements. A cloud of smoke slowly parts in the air as the lieutenant steps back and says to himself,
God damn it.
"A lot of things were wrong with that shot. The fellow's test was the wrong choice. His shoulders were raised, but above all, he cannot trust his eyesight. Oh my God, that was so many types of wrong. Who taught Four Eyes to shoot? Whip up a grueling training regimen for him right now. Beat the man into him. Go, go, go."
Fucking idiot! Mulcapat asshole!
Kuno could have hit it easy, but then Kuno's not fucking handicapped, is he?
I think you have your sports mixed up there, officer. Squaring my shoulders has nothing to do with this.
Bitches fighting.
No, we are lucky as it is. We didn't break anything, and the victim remains uncompromised. Any more mistakes could put us in an unfortunate position with the locals. We have eyes on us. I have to say, it's beginning to look unlikely we can get him down without assistance.
You know, you don't feel like too bad of a shot yourself. Take his gun and show him how to use it.
It's bad as it is, us shooting firearms like punks. Go ahead, I'm not stopping you. Just don't lose it.
They only have one gun!
This is the sorriest pair of pigs Kuno's ever seen.
Yeah, take it, you fucking banana poika! Take it and shoot yourself in the mouth!
The buckle comes into focus in your sights. You stand with your feet planted firmly in the ground and your left hand supporting your gun arm.
Why don't you just shoot yourself in your mouth? At least you won't miss.
The buckle explodes into tiny pieces, coming loose with a whir. With your hand numb from the recoil, you look at the body slump down. For a moment, the man appears to kneel in front of you, looking straight at you, helpless, trapped within itself.
Communism.
It takes a millisecond for the association to flash within your cortex. You have no idea where it's coming from, only that it's right. Then the rigor in his muscles gives up, and he smashes sideways into the spring mud, letting out a horrid stench.
Ace is high.
You could add an ace's low to it, if you like, by turning your back after the high and waiting for another. The high arrives with a sharp slap. As you turn around, there is a moment of doubt. Feels like that low ain't gonna connect. Chill, it's gonna connect. But then it does, and with furious precision. The lieutenant is not one to leave an ace's low hanging.
I knew these guys were f***ed.
Kuno cracks with laughter. Sounds like someone strangling a seagull. It's clear he enjoys himself.
I knew they suck each other off.
We will perform a field autopsy and determine the cause of death. But before... Excuse me.
Slumped on the ground like that has not improved the way the corpse smells. The fall seems to have released something deep inside it.
It looks like I feel like taking a break from the stench. I'm sorry to interrupt the jubilations here. Just a little breather before we do the autopsy. I would suggest we interview Everhart and Joyce, the leader of the Union and the Wild Pines rep, but we've already done that, so it's up to you, Detective. Take us where we need to be.
The rotting man lies on his side with his eyes looking straight through you. The belt is still around his neck. His body is supine and open to intrusion by autopsy. The lieutenant adjusts his glasses and takes a deep breath.
I thought we decided to leave it to processing. Let's not turn this into some kind of circus.
Damn it, this is turning into some sort of mega puzzle.
Come on, officer. You know what a field autopsy is. You've done 100 of them. There truly is a time for everything, even for yellow gardening gloves. However, they are lacking hygienically. I suggest you get in there in limited capacity. I mean when I need you to. Until then, I should handle physical contact, and you should take notes. In your paperwork, officer, just fill out the field autopsy form.
Now they only have one paperwork, too.
Officer, what haven't you lost? Losing your paperwork is not a small issue. I'm sorry if I came off as patronizing. I can give you my paperwork. There's an autopsy form there. Several, actually, but only if it helps move things along. Right. The autopsy form is near the end.
You find a moment as the lieutenant inspects the dead man's fingernails. Just a few glances. The pages are filled with a bulky freehand that's nearly illegible. Still, you can make out a case with a curious title: The Man with the Hole in His Head.
What?
The dead man stares in silence as you crack open the ledger. The bright red paper is covered in boxes and lists, describing the condition of his skin and organs in 3 parts. Above those, an 11-field info form needs filling out first. It begins with,
That's you.
The corpse is indifferent to your scribblings, just lies there. The next box says,
KK57-0803.0815. Next, NA. Next, NA. Roughly 50.
The corpse looks ageless, like meat on a hook. Teeming with opportunistic microorganisms, letting out a foul-smelling diamine compound. Your eyes turn watery.
Mondial. Subgroup Occidental, as per your observation.
The pudgy mess looks neither mondial nor occidental. It doesn't even look human. The next line says,
Fucky!
Male.
Pigs can have sex!
Nor does he look male, with his pregnant belly and indistinguishable face.
We're still going with March 4th, 51. What else? 9. Body identified by is non-applicable. 10. Case number is the same as the coroner's case.
KK57 0503 0815 listens motionless, with the cargo belt still around his neck. Only one box remains.
None, at least not after the initial examination. Interfering with the body's position or wounds post-mortem.
A silent nod. The lieutenant places his gloved hand on the corpse's chest, as if in preparation. Your central nervous system recognizes this gesture. It's the stations of the breath. Ecclesiastic, religious in nature, a holdout from pre-DeLorean burial rites. It takes him 2 seconds to perform. Then,
We should start the post-mortem.
the corpse cannot feel Kim's hand on his chest. It no longer meaningfully interacts with its surroundings. A thicket of boxes and lists on red copier paper tries to answer why.
Clothes. The deceased wears armored boots and white briefs. The make of the briefs is Babrodine, I think. Let's see.
See, it's happening.
Babrodine, yes. Inexpensive. Size M. Color white.
The disappointment is palpable. The red-haired thing was expecting something more lurid.
The boots are ceramic, vitreous enamel. They are fused to his skin from blood flowing downward post-mortem. Removal of the boots is left for processing.
Patience. After the autopsy, before the body is taken away, there will be a window of opportunity. After the lieutenant has gone to sleep, I hope this has helped you, my liege.
Tattoos. The upper torso is covered in a single tattoo, beginning on the right shoulder and reaching around the heart. The shape is abstract. The ink is blue and white. Well-nourished, athletically built, measuring 1.8 meters. Generally consistent with age, about 50. Preservation is good. Ambient temperature, below freezing.
The spine is bent more than the lieutenant compensated for. This buster's actual height is about 1.85. And
Of course, I undercompensated. Body hair is light brown. Distribution is consistent with age. The deceased had male pattern baldness. Hair is combed back, short.
the hair under your latex fingers feels cold to touch, wet.
Lividity is consistent with hanging. The head is congested. Contusions are present on the head, chest, and thighs, consistent with stones thrown post-mortem. Low velocity.
Fucking low velocity? You think Kuno doesn't know what you're talking about? Velocity was fucking max. Talking shit about Kuno's velocity.
In addition, there are bite marks on the face, scalp, and chest, consistent with predation. Ligature mark. The steel wiring. There's too much of it. We need to remove the belt so we can get to the ligature mark.
You got just the right tool for that. The chain cutters. The hanged man lets out a joyous little bubble of rot from his nose.
Always good to think ahead. Now, we need to cut the belt to see the ligature mark below. Carefully, with as much precision as you can.
See, my pig is gonna fuck his head off.
No, he ain't. Your pig's a boring fuck.
After some deliberation, you sink the cutters into the knot tying the belt together. You squeeze the rubber handles together, sweat forming on your brow. Snap! The knot is slashed. Another cut and the belt falls apart like a flower bouquet, revealing the dead man's neck and the dark red ligature mark around it.
The rope rises to a point, leaving a gap in the ligature mark. The suspension point is in the back of the neck.
As it ought to. This is where its grip on the curdled meat is gentlest, pulling up.
Hemorrhaging is observed on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. The mark is well pronounced, consistent with a drop from 1 or 1.5 meters. Chest is intact, normal contour. Abdomen is protuberant, pelvis intact, genitalia.
No, it's gonna happen, see?
I fucking knew it!
Genitalia is male and unremarkable. No evidence of injury. Back is symmetrical and intact. Upper and lower extremities are intact, but asymmetrical. There are combat injuries on the right hand, thigh, and hip.
Bullets have bitten little pieces out of him. It must have been excruciating, especially the hip. Before you is a temple of pain that knew little tenderness in life.
In addition, I see smaller, residual scars, too numerous to count, covering about 30% of his skin. We have a real museum here. Of battles, wars. Last item, hands. Hands are clean. No sign of a recent struggle. Maybe I'm just not seeing them. Honestly, the stench is making it hard for me to think at the moment. Ooh. That's all for the external. Well done. What next? Central nervous system. I have nothing. Do you have anything on this man's central nervous system?
You don't even have a joke.
Musculoskeletal. Purge fluid is coming from the mouth. Not injury related. Eyes and tongue protuberant. Hyoid bone. Let's see.
With his eyes almost closed, the lieutenant puts his hand on the dead man's throat and begins to massage it, gently. A rotting smell erupts from the mouth. Purge fluid runs down his lips, black and viscous. You hear cracks as the lieutenant moves his sharp fingers inside the flesh, like the creaking of an old house at night.
Yeah, jack that fucker off!
The hyoid bone is fractured. The rest of the musculoskeletal system is intact. Unremarkable. Respiratory system.
He's really doing it. The dead man's teeth cut into his gloved hands.
Oral cavity shows no lesions. The victim has received dental implants, possibly after a combat wound. Mouth swollen. Hemorrhaging present in mucosa of the lips and mouth.
No scream, no sigh of relief rises from the darkness inside. It's humid there. Sickly sweet air, unlike anything living. You feel like you're about to throw up again, straight in that mouth of his. No, you don't. You can keep it in. You can keep anything in. You manage to suppress the contractions trying to enter your stomach. All it takes is concentration. Through it, you see nothing but darkness. Mute silence as always.
Hemorrhaging present in mucus. Hepatobiliary, Na. Are you a hepatobiliary expert? Same for toxicology and serology, Na. Unless you have untapped reservoirs of knowledge there? Cardiovascular. The body exhibits heavy lividity. Blood has gathered in the hands, feet, and neck. Hypostasis is visually consistent with the hanging. Gastrointestinal. Digested semi-solid food in stomach. Voila. What's next on the list? Let's see. We have bite marks, contusions on the head and chest, and a ligature mark encircling the neck. You'll need 3 feels. Leave a 4th one too.
Be thorough if you want maximum results.
Head, chest, and scalp bite mark injuries. Predation by birds has caused damage to the body. Odontologist does not need to be consulted. And your opinion, officer? Agreed. Next injury? So, the scalp bleeds from a post-mortem head injury, a stone. The injury does not have the rim of an early inflammatory response. The perpetrator on the scene has confessed to causing it post-mortem.
At maximum velocity, fucko!
Has confessed to causing it at maximum velocity.
Coagulated blood sticks to his scalp and chest, where the countless stones have hit the dead man. Beneath, the description of injury. 2 boxes.
Right. Next. A dark red abraded ligature mark encircling the neck, with a gap on the nape measuring, let's say, 7 centimeters. I see hemorrhaging on the skin, above and below the ligature mark. Depth of the mark, 1 centimeter. No signs of clawing on the neck.
Below the note, 2 customary boxes wait to be ticked. The man's head jerks to the side. The ring around his neck is visible. Think for a moment. There's time. Don't rush. What was that about no clawing around the neck? You'd be clawing for your life. A column of cold air encircles you, rising slowly upward in the shape of a courtyard, bordered by cracked plaster, windows, seagulls perched on air conditioning units. A small green enclosure in the middle of a corral of tenements, Cape-side apartments, whirling in rags, and the fortress wall of Terminal B. Above it, a thin blanket of coastal stratus clouds. Higher yet, coalition airships guard over the 21 cordons of the zone of control. The air is crisscrossed with radio transmissions. The hair on your neck rises.
Why do you say that? Okay. Why don't you think it was fatal? Honestly, I'm not sure there weren't marks on his wrists. That part got blurry for me. The stench. But you are right. There should be signs of struggle. Let's leave the cause of death empty for the time being. Let's wrap this up. I pronounce this field autopsy over. It was an irregular field autopsy. We did not establish cause of death, which is supposed to be the goal of an autopsy. But personally, I do not see this as a parameter for success. Then, given the state of decay here, I consider establishing the victim's ethnicity a minor success. We were thorough with the list of injuries too. We described them all in detail. What is there to say? Given the circumstances, it was a professional field autopsy.
Oh yeah, well done, Master Detective. Maybe a drink is in order?
Now, you see, that worries me. You will die if you drink. You know that, don't you? You are proving a useful detective. The organization would miss you. Now we put him in a body bag and I drive him to Forborg for processing.
The lieutenant looks at the dead man one more time, then at his notebook, then at the corpse again. You tilt your head, also looking at the corpse. You run your hands over the victim's cold body, his limbs, his torso with its swollen organs. Maybe you should be more thorough. You pull down his breeches. Marbling is present around the crotch. The penis has shrunk, crawling halfway back inside him. There is nothing mysterious or noteworthy here.
Can't get enough of that dick.
Do you think we missed something? Okay, well, we are in livor mortis here. He is disintegrating. We need to refrigerate the body if we want to conduct another examination, and we need to do it fast. Hey, wasn't there a giant ice bear sarcophagus below that building?
Why, yes there was. It was massive. Red eyes glowing in the dark.
Now, that's an overstatement. It's not actually for storing cadavers, or at least I hope so. I think we should take a look at it first. Make sure it's big enough before we carry him over. Let's move. With every hour, whatever we are looking for in the deceased will become harder to find. We should think about calling it a day, maybe. The nights are still miserably cold this time of year. You should take care of that, then. Let's talk to him anyway. An officer of the RCM shouldn't be sleeping in the street. We'll figure something out.
The bear's eyes are still glowing red, watching over all the ice cream wrappers hidden inside its belly.
It's certainly an eccentric choice, but it is capacious and cold enough to... Shall we go and get the body, then? I'll take the head, you take the feet. The stairs won't be easy, but we'll manage.
The two of you, easily. The body is heavier than you expected and stinkier. It takes half an hour to get it down to the butcher, then 10 more minutes to stuff it into the fridge. The lieutenant takes a step back to admire your handiwork.
Beautiful. A dead body in an ice bear fridge. This is some of the best police work I've ever done.
You've definitely earned a drink after this, perhaps even some pagan rites.
I knew you would say that. I knew this would lead to drinking. No, no more. This is paganistic enough, and it does not leave this room. No, they do not. They need to hear about our uneventful, boring, downright conservative murder investigation. At least we've stopped the body from decomposing further. Now you can conduct another inspection under controlled circumstances.
Inside the icy realm of the ice bear fridge, the corpse stands slumped, waiting. Your arm reaches out and your eyes close, as if by their own volition. It's dark all around. You feel cold, dead flesh through the latex glove. It's right. His face, his cheeks, his nose, his fat, swollen lips. Like a rubber spider, your gloved hand crawls on his features. Everything is silent, all around. The oral cavity is cold and moist. A ball-like tongue attaches itself to the base of the mouth, lolling around like a scallop. The tongue moves freely in the cavity. The mucus of the mouth is slippery, fragile, even through the latex. From the soft meat, teeth are budding. Hard pearls of bone in the gums and in the back of the mouth. Can you feel it? You're so close. Rip his jaws open now. Look in. A vision of black and dark red death, pried open by your hands and studded with teeth. Looks like he's laughing. Death fumes rising from his throat. And there, in the back of his mouth, above the bell of the uvula, right in the soft palate, you see a hole, barely visible to the human eye. It is swollen shut, almost vanished. No larger than 0.4 centimeters in radius, the edges appear darkened.
Keep going.
A black trickle of liquid runs into his throat from the wound. Your index fits right in there. A tight tunnel of flesh opens up. Tissue damage, wide enough for 2 fingers. Your yellow fingers slide into the remains of the limbic system. There is no resistance. It's gelatinous. The slug-like structures are damaged too. The tearing extends deep into both hemispheres. Your fingers are all the way in now, reaching toward the inside of his skull. The cavity goes further, but the entry wound isn't wide enough for the rest of your hand to follow. All the muscles in your body harden. Time to enter him. The cartilage gives in with a crack, like some fruit. Just like that, your hand is in his head. Strange fluid streams down your wrist, and then you feel it with the tip of your finger. Ice-cold serrated metal. Its edges cut right through the latex and into your finger. The pain is barely noticeable under the adrenaline rush. You pick the object between your index and middle finger. Feels sharp, like metal. You press your teeth together. Your jaw is clenched. All you need to do is just...
Good.
The inside of the head feels cold and smooth, like a glove. Sweat dripping down your brow. Careful not to lose the prize between your fingers. With a plop, Your hand emerges from the mouth. The garden glove is covered in blood right up to the wrist. Between your fingers, a small flower, a blossom made of lead.
A bullet.
The bullet falls in the bag, leaving a smattering of blood on the plastic. He raises the bag under his eyes and says,
A non-caliber. Rifled. Some kind of brittle alloy. Fractured on impact. No, you deserve it. We can log it later. Looks like we need to add one more item to your injury list. Injury number 4. Oval entry wound with an abrasion collar. Soft palate, back of mouth. High velocity. Temporary cavity in brain tissue. Small exit wound on the occiput. How does that sound? Opinion, fatal injury. And one last thing. We can now fill in injury number 3. Ligament mark. Opinion, non-fatal. Post-mortem. Treatment.
He's proposing the bullet was the real cause of death, and the hanging an attempt to conceal this fact.
Treatment, officer, is an attempt to manipulate the body after death, to hide the real cause with a false cause. In this case, this injury here. Yes, and the belt around his neck, the hanging, even dragging him to the yard. All of it was done after this man was already dead. Dead. I have had my doubts for a while now, since I saw there were no signs of struggle on his hands, and no claw marks on his neck. There have been other signs too, small things. We were right not to assign hanging as cause of death, as the perpetrators expected we would. No such luck for them. Oh, you really do. I am glad to hear you say that. Your room in the Whirling in Rags should come with a bathroom. Be sure to make use of it in the evening. That's for us to find out. But this, it will make finding them just a little easier. To hide something. The real killer? The real motivation? What really happened here? Yes, we should take a closer look at it. I am certain it has more to tell us.
This little thing could reveal much about the weapon that shot it.
We put him in a bag and carry him to the holding pen of my kinema. The body bag should contain the odor for the duration of the transport. I would drive him to processing, but it's too late to do that today. I'll do it first thing tomorrow. No problem. One more thing. This was really good work, Detective.
The 15th Indo tribe. Because there was. The 15th Indo tribe was comprised of 8 kids from Forberg and North Jamrock, running from wild dogs in the valley, hiding scents under rocks, and stealing clothes off clotheslines, and sometimes even the copper wiring of phone lines. You may have been one of them. This must be a childhood memory. The 15th Indo tribe was your Indo tribe, set to rule in Cylinder. The rest of the kids are dead now. Car accidents and drug overdoses. Only you remain. Anti-Object Task Force. Behold, the Anti-Object Task Force has assembled. God's avenging angel, arrayed against the lower emanations of the Darkened One. Shoe racks, tape recorders, motor carriages, and doors. So many doors. You're not just pounding it all to pieces. You're reforging the universe, from the anvil of the heavens to the worms below. Indulge in it. Be bold. Have an impact on the shape of creation. Out of the furnace of your rage, a new reality. Also, you should trash your room again.
I help you? Yes, have you got it? Does that arrangement include you paying me what we already agreed you owe me?
I understand your predicament as the manager. However, I feel I must remind you that we are here to conduct an important investigation that also affects your business.
Forgive me for saying this, but your colleague seems more committed to drinking, and I mean no offense. It's really nothing personal. I just have to protect the interests of this establishment. Good luck trying to use it.
Draconian measures.
All the locks have an electronic component. They have to be unlocked down here with a master key before your guest key will open the lock. Oh, wonderful. Try to do that. I'll have to call you an ambulance. Not until you bring me the money.
Okay, I might have something in my motor carriage we can use when you're done here.
Oh, Lieutenant, we're done here.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and
I have something here we could sell. Look in the back, in the suspect transport enclosure.
transport enclosure. Regular people just call it the cage. The cage at the back of the motor carriage looks rather uncomfortable. 4 shiny hubcaps are stacked against the seat. Their silver edges sparkle in the dark.
I confiscated these for a little while back. We can take them to the pawn shop down by the Martinez Canal.
The lieutenant nods as you take the spinners.
If you don't mind, please put the flashlight away. Some of us have photonic sensitivities. I do appreciate it. Greetings on this fine night. What brings you here? The pawn shop is always open.
Yes, we'd like to sell these hubcaps.
Roy takes the hubcaps from the lieutenant and inspects them. The spinners appear iridescent in the dancing light, gone forever.
Yes, these are very, very good. Did you defraud some foreign prince for them? Jump a mesk banger? No matter. I'll give you 200 real.
No one was defrauded or jumped, I assure you.
Of course, I meant no offense. 200 real for you, officer. Delightful doing business with you. Do come again.
Thank you. Here's the 100 real you need for your bill. Do not waste it.
Anything else you're thinking of selling? I'm not purchasing any more clothing at the moment. Anything else you're thinking of selling? Another time, perhaps.
feeling warm and enthralled by the movement of light, while the mind continues to race forward. Lucky bastard, he's probably on Pyrrolidon. It's tough to come by on the street. A drug developed by the military to treat and prevent radiation sickness. It has psychedelic side effects, and it makes your eyes turn yellow.
How would I know? Pyrrolidon is just something since the People's Power disaster, I was with the Emergency Relief Brigade. Had to take it for radiation sickness.
He's taking it for mental and emotional, not physical pain these days.
I like the theory more than the story. Outward movement, not vortices.
Yeah, you gotta get in on those vortices, my man.
Have you tried it before?
The lieutenant steps away, pretending to admire some of the knickknacks on display. Looks like he doesn't want to get involved.
If you say so. Here you go, man.
Yes, darling. That's the coalition government ordained Pyrrolidon. Straight into your gut.
Of course.
Can I help you? Yes, have you got it? Well? Great, perfect. I hope you enjoy your freezing cold room with the window you broke yourself. The electronic lock to your room has been disabled till 9 p.m. tomorrow. Starting tomorrow, please pay for each night in advance. 20 real per night. If you don't have the money, it's over for you. Got it? You've got nowhere else to stay.
I'll take a room here too.
Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you? Another thing. Great. Yes?
Yes?
This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Just a moment. We should talk about our progress on the investigation. Let's go out to the balcony.
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then,
Now then, we should talk about the investigation. But I also feel you're a bit hazy on the RCM. Our role here, our rights, our jurisdiction, basically.
the dying lights of the city shimmer below. Slowly, like luminous clouds, they pass on his lenses. The lieutenant looks at his slim cigarette, contemplating the next drag.
They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. This place has fallen between the cracks, the jurisdictions of our two precincts. We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works, our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate. Probably not. Anyway, positive change happens slowly. We never really get to see the impact of our actions.
He is very tired, but the dark circles under his eyes make him look younger, not older.
Well, we inspected the victim's body, so that's good. It was not easily approachable in that state, but we did it. Our inspection left something to be desired and didn't produce enough solid leads, though. Then you shot the body down, which was quite a shot. On this occasion, I must agree. At any rate, your shot enabled us to perform a field autopsy on the victim. We found some things we can really work with. Moreover, you found that the hanged man wasn't just hanged, he was also shot. That was some excellent detective work. And you managed to locate and pull out the bullet, so we can get ballistics, make off the gun. All this is invaluable. We haven't gotten the body out of the yard yet, but at least it's been refrigerated. There's still work to be done at the crime scene when we go back to deal with the body. We mustn't forget that. Now for the interviews. Very important indeed. Well, we conducted an interview with Everard Clare. He wasn't particularly forthcoming with useful information, however. Claire also helped you, how should I say, remember your name? That's a relief. Moving on. We tried to interview the Wild Palms rep, but she asked us to do something for her first. Fine, so be it. I have a feeling Joyce knows how dangerous the situation really is. We have to get her to talk to us. Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice?
I have a really good theory about why you're running so fast, son. Just you wait until we get up tomorrow.
It's impressive, to say the least, for a man your age. But I guess those sneakers are a perfect fit for running around. Goodbye, Dad.
Thank you for the compliment. We could manage it even in wooden clogs. There are uncanny running reservoirs in this body. God knows why.
Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
As you turn, a bright light catches your eye, making you squint. From a distant sunset, a stage light, flash photography, nowhere in particular. It's just what superstar law officers do. They squint at lights, and they solve shit. Yeah, you have. You're a big dick cop, Dick Mullen, Salam Rocky Bayi, badass on-the-edge disco cop. Time to recede into a ludicrous fantasy world. Here we go. Camera, lights. With a sudden flash, the world freezes around you, and you along with it. In an iconic monochrome solution, a black silhouette against a rasterized orange world. It's